Hello everybody, it's Will here. Welcome back to the Waterstones vlog. This week I'm probably taking my livelihood into my own hands because I'm going to be talking to you about this book, 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now by Jaron Lanier. Why am I talking to you about this book, given that I've been on social media for a decade now and it's been my actual job for about 3 or 4 years now? Why on earth would I encourage you to read a book which asks you to delete your accounts right now? It is because Jaron Lanier is a fascinating man. He's a sort of tech guru and visionary over in America, the man who basically invented virtual reality as we know it. He's an extraordinarily interesting man, and I did actually get the chance to interview him recently. I'm hoping that I will get those interviews ready for you to hear by the time this goes out, but if not, keep an eye on our channels. Do not delete your accounts, and you will hear him talking about all sorts of things. He's a really fascinating man. Why has he written a book about social media? It is because he feels that there is an inherent flaw in the system. And in this book, he provides 10 very clear arguments to explain his point and then provides what he thinks is a potential solution to the problem. Now, on my proof here, we have the arguments very helpfully on the front. And I'm just going to read them out because when you hear them, I think that they will make a lot of sense to anybody who's been on social media for any length of time. And you'll get an idea about how this book is structured. Number 1, you are losing your free will. Number 2, quitting social media is the most finely targeted way to resist the insanity of our times. Number 3, social media is making you into an arsehole. Number 4, social media is undermining truth. Number 5, social media is making what you say meaningless. Number 6, social media is destroying your capacity for empathy. Number 7, social media is making you unhappy. Number 8, social media doesn't want you to have economic dignity. Number 9, social media is making politics impossible. And number 10, social media hates your soul. When social media companies were set up, they didn't know what the unintended consequences were of some of the very, very basic ways in which the internet works and the way in which social media works. But the way that you will know, if you're here on YouTube, and you're probably on other social media channels as well, and you will know that increasingly you are not deciding what you get to see in your feed or your timeline. You're getting suggestions all of the time, you're getting adverts and paid content, and these companies provide their platforms for free, but of course they have to make money, and they make that money through advertisers, and the advertisers want their data. This is the data that you and I provide them with every single day by using those services. And of course, they get lots of lovely data because they get us addicted to the platform so that we keep using it. The more we use it, the more data they get, the more useful that is to potential advertisers. And what we're doing with that data, what we're giving them is indications about how long we spend online, what we look at, how long we look at it for, what we then look at next, and crucially, what is the path that we follow before buying something. That's what they really want to know. And if it turns out that you tend to buy stuff when you're feeling a bit sad about something that you've watched online, then hey presto, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get shown some sad stuff in order to manipulate your emotions, modify your behavior so that you will then purchase. Now, this all sounds rather nefarious, and it kind of is, because this is a very clear point that he makes in the book. He wants people to understand that these channels, these social media channels, are behavior modification tools. It's not just a simple thing of putting up an advert as you used to do in a newspaper or a magazine, which is just for everybody to see and hope that people will buy your thing. This is about targeted advertising based on who you are, when you've been put in a group with other people with similar behaviors, and they will know that if the background to the advert is blue or red, it will have a better impact on you as a person because of all this stuff they know about you as a group. And that's where it does start to get a little bit, but for me personally, the thing that I find very difficult is the negativity that you can exist on a platform like Twitter, for example. When it first started, it used to be like a really fun place where you could meet people with similar interests, and it was a great way for me to swap sort of book recommendations and book chat and all the rest of it. And that still exists, but there is also this negativity that cuts through. And he explains very clearly here why there is this negativity, why there is this trend towards negativity rather than positivity. And it's just simply because negative emotions are quicker. And when an algorithm is tracking what's going on, it can see that faster than it can. You'll know if you meet somebody, it takes time to build up trust and to have a positive, sort of feeling about people. It's much easier to take immediate offence at something that somebody says. And as you all know, if you're on somewhere like Twitter, there's a lot of immediate offence being taken by people about all sorts of things. There's a great thing he talks about in here, which is called the bummer machine. That's an acronym. Behaviours of users modified and made into an empire for rent. That is his way of explaining how social media systems work. So, what's the solution to this problem? Well, one idea that he suggests is that instead of having free platforms, which means that the money has to come from advertisers, he suggests that maybe we could have a paid-for platform, something like Netflix. If you had to pay a subscription to a service, a social media service, and therefore it didn't have to make money by selling your data to advertisers, maybe that would be a slightly nicer place to be. You pay your money and we might get something a bit like how Netflix and Amazon Prime and HBO and things like that have helped to create what people are calling peak TV, some of the best TV that's ever been made, because you, the user, are paying for it. Maybe if we paid for our social media, then we might get peak social media. It's an idea. Lots of really, really fascinating stuff in this book, and the thing that I'm really taking away from it for me personally, because I want to keep using social media and I want to keep talking to people like you about the books that are fantastic and that I want to recommend, is maybe to be a bit more positive, to think really carefully about what I'm sending out there, to avoid negativity, to avoid controversy. I don't mean to make everything bland, but simply to communicate passion for books or passion for what I'm talking about in a way that is inclusive rather than divisive. That's my challenge. And I make it your challenge too. Let's make it a nice place to be. So there we go. That is 10 arguments for deleting your social media accounts right now, which I kind of hope you won't do. Otherwise, this is goodbye. And I don't want that to be the case. But I do think we can make things better, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the future, whether a paid-for social media platform ever comes into being. It's very difficult, of course, because they're up against the might of Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all the rest of them. So let's see what happens. But this is a fascinating read for anybody who spends any amount of time on social media, which I'm guessing that, given you're watching this on a social media channel, is probably you. Thank you for watching this week's vlog. I will be back in a few weeks' time, but until then, take care. And don't delete your accounts right now. Not right now.